about being 45 years old, just 45. Older or younger, we're 45. Think about where you would travel to. Where would you want to travel at 45 years old? When you've come up with that answer, I'm going to teleport you to 75 years old. At 75 years old, ask yourself that same question. Where do you want to travel? Some of you in the room may say the same answer, and others in the room may have a different answer. What I can tell you is that COVID absolutely changed me and my family's answer. We were all-inclusive travelers, like the warm weather. And then in lockdown mode in the north, after 2 years of not being able to travel, we had to make a decision. And sure enough, here we landed in Ponte Vedra, where we all are. I thought it would be 3 weeks, which turned into part-time, and then it turned into full-time. And in that full-time journey, we have never looked back. With that said, 10 years before that, I was able to ask an 88-year-old man, if you could travel anywhere before you expired and left this green earth, where would you go? And he looked at me and said, oh, that's really simple. I would go to Italy. I said, oh, I'm Maltese, the island of Malta. That's fantastic. If I could make that happen, would you go? Now, mind you, this 88-year-old man was not a family member of mine, and I really didn't realize the question was going to lead to us going to Italy. We saw 17 cities in 7 days, 8 castles, and it was a whirlwind adventure. Absolutely enjoyable. And I made his dream turn into a real treat. I didn't know if it would be a trick. I didn't know if it would be expected or unexpected, but it was fabulous. Now I'm going to fast forward to 2022, and I asked another person that same question at 86 years old. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? And very easily, that person said to me, Asia. Asia, okay, wasn't first thing on the radar, and certainly wasn't warm climate. But that person also decided to be Santa Claus that year at 2022 of December. Now, mind you, when I asked them that, in 30 days, I said, if I could make this happen, would you go? And they said yes. The neat thing about this story is that the 86-year-old decided that she would go through a restaurant on Christmas Eve and hand out 150 lottery tickets to people she didn't know. It was pretty giving, and it was totally unexpected. With that said, she came home with COVID. 26 days before we're supposed to go to Asia, COVID. Oh boy. So I said, you need to make a dream, a decision, and a vision, and decide what's going to happen. The doctor cleared her, and she was able to go. With that said, we started a story and a journey, and while we were doing that, we wondered, would we be jet lagged? Would our age catch up with us? Would we be tired? What would happen in this story? Well, 3 of us traveled 30 days later from Christmas to January 26th. 30 days, 3 of us went, took 2 flights, 11 hours, and landed there with 56 people we didn't know. The 56 people that we didn't know was a little unnerving because you think to yourselves, will they be nice? Will it be expected? Will it be unexpected? What will happen? At 9:40 in the morning, we landed in Asia. We took this picture first thing. We were tired, and it was rough, but it was a great time, and we were so excited. Right after that, we started to travel through places of national parks and places that we did not know, but seemed so incredibly familiar to us because it was Bethlehem and Nazareth. Guess what? We come from Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania in our backyard is Bethlehem and Nazareth. So all the way across the world, we were in 2 totally different places, but places that seemed so familiar. We went on to do things that we never envisioned. Camel riding. Then we felt like we were at home with palm trees in a totally different world, even though we knew it was in Florida. And then we had to make decadent decisions about what we were going to eat with Mediterranean-style food. It was fabulous. And right after that, we started to feel the decline. We started to see things change. And as time was going on, we were in and out of elevations, above and below sea level. So you ask yourself, what is it? Are we not feeling well? Are we tired? What is it? Well, it ended up that it was a little bit more than what we had ever envisioned. We were 5 days into this trip, and I had my husband look at me and say, guess what? Oh, before I tell you that, just when I thought we would travel everywhere together. We would get off the bus, and sometimes they would stay on the bus. And then I think they would stay on the bus, and they'd be behind me. And I'd look at them and go, oh my God, I thought you were staying on the bus. But the 5 days in, and my husband looking at me and saying, call 911. What do you mean? The person had gone into full-blown heart failure. Heart failure that was scary, unnerving. And you hear in my voice, earth-shaking. We were in another country, not speaking the language, headed to a hospital with the total unknown. What? 56 people were leaving in 2 days. Are we going home with them or are we not? What's going to happen? Well, against all odds, by the grace of God and mercy, the unexpected became what taught us one of the biggest things: belief, strength, endurance, and perseverance. Those are 3 words that are so, so powerful. I want to tell you that 3 years later, she's here. We're excited that she did make it back after a frightening plane ride home where she told me I could put her in a body bag. But at the end of the day, belief, strength, and perseverance. I hope you take those 3 words with you today. Thank you so much.